Morning, Alan. Hi, Vanessa.
Good morning.
Maybe it's not Vanessa. Maybe it's Todd.
It's both of us. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. I guess you're going incognito this morning, Todd and Vanessa.
At this point, hopefully
Okay.
for the breakouts, we'll turn video back on. We're kind of in and out.
Jammies, eh?
Hey, Greg, are you there? I
Yes.
see him up on the.
He's
Hey,
got
hi.
his video off.
Want me to turn my video on?
There you are. Hey. Hey, sweetheart, how are you?
Chilling with the pup.
Like in the background.
All my beer plates.
Yeah, they're aluminum trays that he got from my basement.
There's your grandpa.
Yeah, they were my grandfather's. Yep.
Hi, Linda.
Yeah, hi.
That's a cool pitchfork, Linda. I like that in the background.
Yeah.
You guys could totally do American Gothic.
Yeah, I could. All my,
Happy birthday, Ralph. Oh, excuse me, Linda, I didn't mean to interrupt.
that's okay. All my early attic stuff on my walls.
Morning, Ann.
Good morning, Sue.
Hi, Ann.
Hi, Cheryl. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Betsy. Goodbye, Mark.
He's going to go get me coffee. I know.
That's it.
You hurt yourself, Becky?
No, my iPad won't stay up. I don't know. Anyway. Okay.
Happy birthday, Becky.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Thank
it's your
you.
birthday too. Happy birthday, Becky.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Mel. Oh, here. This is what I'm trying to
You share a birthday with Ralph.
do. Oh, do I?
Yeah, today's Ralph's birthday too.
Oh, okay. Mine was, when was mine? Friday.
Oh, okay.
It's so memorable. No, actually, it was just fine.
You're 40, right?
Yeah, right. Oh, if only. Well, oh well. Okay. I'm going to go get my coffee.
Hey, Suzanne.
Hi. Good morning.
Hi.
Ann.
Hey, hello.
Hi. Hi, Marty.
Hi.
There's Marty.
Well, Greg, you know some of these people here, don't you? A couple?
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes to my wine drinking events.
Hi, Noreen. Hey, Betsy, is your kitty cat there?
She's not, or he's not with me right now, but he's usually with me.
I'd love to see him.
Maybe I'll see if Mark will bring him up.
That'd be grand.
He's a little stinker and getting into things, but he's so affectionate that, you know, we have to forgive him his naughtiness. Well, since we're not ready to start, maybe I'll go see if I can find him.
Cool.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure my dogs will join us at the most inopportune time.
And if they bark, my dog will bark.
I do.
Yeah.
We will have a chorus.
Well, at 10:45, everybody's going to be muted, so
Well, there
don't
you
worry
go.
about your dogs.
Yeah, she's going to shut us all up.
Well, they shut us off.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Sue.
Hey, Sue.
Hey, Sue.
Hey, Sue.
Oh, shh, 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 shh. Come here.
I talked to Carolyn and Jeff. They haven't been on, but they're doing okay. Yeah. Yesterday. Yeah.
369.
It's good to see the Vanessa's on.
I like that.
So cute.
Oh, that looks a lot like mine. I have one, well, actually two that looks a lot like that.
Aw.
You don't have any animals to show off.
Yeah, there's
Just us.
Ours wouldn't fit on the screen.
Right.
there's Evie.
Here's my cat.
Oh, look at that.
Aw.
Right there. Alan Garrison's house.
Oh,
Yeah.
Alan, your cat.
That's my cat.
Kitty.
We used to have one that looked just like that.
And there's my 95-pound pony sitting on my sofa.
breakfast.
Since everybody's bringing their animals, our
Our dog eats kittens.
Oh,
cute.
Brad.
Brad got.
Evie, you gonna look? You gonna join us?
You've got two dogs down there, Brad?
Yeah, we do. We're fostering puppies.
Two
that,
puppies?
Oh, that's adorable.
Oh, they're so cute.
Just until they have a place to be adopted. Kimberly's getting the other one, so.
Okay.
Monkeys, Brad. Where are the monkeys?
The monkeys, I know, we saw one monkey yesterday, but we haven't seen monkeys since then, so.
Where are you, Brad?
We're in Costa Rica. So, we just.
That's why you come to church without a shirt on. I like that.
Yeah, it's, you're cute.
Only you youths can do that.
There you go.
I always wanted to come to church without a shirt, but you know.
Right.
Are a unique breed, right?
Well, who's taking care of your dog at home?
We have really good dog sitters there, and
Okay.
they're actually music teachers, so they don't have an income right now, so they are very happy to keep on dog sitting as long as they do. So.
Oh, good.
Time for the puppies to take a nap.
Looks like fun, doesn't it, Greg?
Sorry, it's dead.
Yeah, General, we haven't had the monkeys come by, but there is a very vindictive iguana that is really pissed off. And they say they're as smart as cats, and I think they kind of behave like them because every morning he comes and there's this tree that's 40 feet above the pool at this rental house, and he climbs up, lay out on this branch, poops in the pool, and then goes away.
Fantastic.
I think he's trying to scare us off. So.
Oh, it hasn't worked yet.
Start right now. Thank you, Brad. Good morning. Welcome to the virtual online service live via the Zoom system to a gathering at Northern Hills Sunday service. And I want to give a special shout out to Sue Klein, who has been hosting the service for the last month and hosting it on her own personal Zoom account. GNH now has its own Zoom license and we'll be using that next week, but it'll still be the same procedure. I'll send out the link on a Thursday afternoon. So as I said, welcome to the gathering in Northern Hills Sunday service. The restrooms are to my left. There's coffee in the kitchen. Help yourself. I want to go through just a few announcements here. We will be doing I'll be doing a main message series on the next 3 Sundays, and it's my message series is entitled "Let's Watch the Same Movie." And on each of the 3 next Sundays, I'll be discussing a different film that's available to watch on Netflix or Amazon Prime, and we'll be announcing the movie in advance so you can watch in advance, and we'll think about it and consider together. Next week, I'll be looking at the movie entitled A Serious Man, which is streaming on Netflix. It's a comedy by Ethan and Joel Cohen, and it's a modern take on the Bible's book of Job and the meaning of suffering. I encourage you to take a look at it over the coming week. The following Sunday, we'll look at the 1959 comedy classic, Some Like It Hot. And in the third week, we'll look at the film, the 2016 film, documentary, I Am Not Your Negro, which details the thoughts and memories of the writer and poet James Baldwin, and it's available on Netflix. Let's see here. There are, as we hear in the news, many newly unemployed people, and many of them are struggling financially. And fortunately, we have in the GNH community, the Valley Interfaith Community Resource Center, which is trying to help many people who are suffering during this crisis and in need. Every Tuesday morning from now on, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., you can drop off canned food or other non-perishable items in their parking lot. They have bins set up outside their doors. You can place the items in their bin and depart. I do want to say that there may be people present. Everybody's supposed to maintain social distance, but if you see somebody out and you don't want to encounter anybody, even with a social distance, just stay in your car and then put the items in the bins when people have left. Let's see, the board president, Sue Klein, and our treasurer, Mark Mueller, are continuing to actively work to obtain an online donation platform for us. Unfortunately, as with everything during this time period, it's taking time. And we want to do it right. We want to get the best deal possible for us. There are discounts available for nonprofits. And we also want to make sure it's safe for everybody to donate by credit card or checking account or debit card online. But hopefully we will have that up and available very soon. As Sue Klein has mentioned over the last 2 weeks, the office's laminator is missing. It's somehow disappeared. If for some reason you borrowed it, that's fine. Just please drop it off on the bench outside the office any Tuesday or Thursday morning before 11 a.m. and no questions asked, you'll be anonymous. As I've said in announcements of the last couple of weeks, Adrienne Campbell is continuing her work schedule at church between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Please don't visit her. If you have a question, just give a call. We're also asking that if only people who absolutely need to be in the building enter the building. We did have our custodians completely disinfect really the entire building. So we want to maintain that cleanliness until when and if we do reopen. Let's see, last but not least for announcement-wise, the Ohio election primary is this Tuesday. If you still have not mailed in your absentee ballot, I encourage you to do so. It must be postmarked no later than midnight this coming Tuesday. And last but not least, unfortunately, we continue to have members of the church who are experiencing significant challenges in their lives, particularly health challenges. Ginny Patterson is in the hospital right now. She had a fairly major health challenge this past week. She is doing better, and I did hear this morning she is feeling a lot better and hopes to be returning home in the next few days. Mary Lou Alfman also had a fairly significant health challenge, but she has been at home throughout. She is in her usual happy and good spirits, and she told me she welcomes phone calls. She likes to be able to talk to people. Marianne McLeod is still recovering from a broken hip. She underwent surgery to repair that, and she too is recovering. And please keep John and your thoughts and prayers as well as he is concerned for his wife. And finally, John Couture, who's the husband of our member Harriet Couture, he underwent a fairly serious non-elective surgery a couple weeks ago. He is still recovering at home. And there's a bunch of other thoughts and prayers listed on your announcement sheet and your announcement sheet that I sent out this last Thursday. Take a look at all the announcements, particularly the thoughts and prayers. And if you want to send out an email or put a card or note in the mail, I know everybody on the thoughts and prayers list would welcome that. Let's now light our chalice, and Michael will lead us in the singing of Rise Up, O Flame.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Thank you, Michael. Let us now go into our prelude time. This is a time to prepare your heart and mind for what you might hear and experience this morning. It is a meditation time, and as we do when we meet in person at our church sanctuary, it's also a time to reflect on any joys or sorrows you may have going on for you. And if you wish, you can take a bowl of your own water and drop a pebble, or I don't know what, a cereal or something into the bowl as a way for you to express a joy or sorrow. Michael's going to play Nocturne in E-B by Frédéric Chopin. Very nice, Michael. Thank you very much for that. I did not announce earlier, but our guest speaker this Sunday is Greg Leksan, and he is the son of our member Cheryl Leksan, and he's going to be speaking on the benefits of solar power. And as always, as so wonderfully happens every single Sunday, Michael has chosen just the perfect music to match the theme of the message. And so let us now sing the hymn that Michael has chosen, This Little Light of Mine. The lyrics will be on your screen, and I encourage you to, right where you are, sing out loud. Only you have to hear yourself.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you again, Michael. Let us now recite our Gathering at Northern Hills unison affirmation together. The words, I think, will be up on your screen. Do you have those, Michael? No? Okay. I will recite them, and you, if you have them memorized, you can recite them along with me. We pledge to create a welcoming community that celebrates human diversity, encourages spiritual growth, fosters responsiveness to our world, and commits to the future of all children. Okay, and with that, I want to introduce our guest speaker this morning. As I said earlier, Greg Leksan, the son of member Cheryl Leksan. And his topic this morning is the benefits of solar power. Greg works for a local Cincinnati company, Solar Freedom, but he's not going to be doing an advertisement for his company or his work, but speaking to us really about how solar energy works, what its benefits are to mankind, as well as to any of us individually. So with that, I want to turn over the screen and our time to a message from Greg Leksan. Please welcome him.
Right. Looks like I have disabled screen sharing. Doug, would you mind giving me access to that? Does not look like it's letting me share my screen.
There we go. You got it.
Oh, here we go. Fantastic. Thank you. All right. So I will switch over to this right now. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate the introduction. My name is Greg Leksan. I'm Cheryl's son, and I've been working in solar energy for about going on 2 years now. The name of my company is Solar is Freedom. We are locally owned and operated, but I'm not going to really be talking too much about that as much as we'll kind of dive into the different benefits and why solar is so good, especially right now. So what I'll cover is, I'll introduce us as a company just so you guys know who we are, and then I'll get into how solar energy actually works from a engineering standpoint, and then we'll get into the environmental benefits of renewable energy, not just solar, and then the economics. We'll go through a couple examples, and then if any of you guys have any questions for me afterwards, I'd be more than happy to answer them now, but I'll also leave some contact information if you'd like to get some more information. So as a company, we are Solar is Freedom, locally owned and operated out of the east side of Cincinnati in Claremont County. And what we do is we kind of take a holistic approach to every project that we work with. So every design is custom to the roof and the usage of the homeowner. And not only is it important that you're working with the best people who are installing it, you also want to make sure that you're working with the best products that are available on the market that are going to last and stand the test of time. So everything that we use is monocrystalline tier 1 solar panels. What that means is it's a pure silica polymer that's actually generating the electricity. Just means you're going to have higher efficiency. And then we have a team of North American board certified energy practitioners. These are our electrical engineers that do all of our designs and electrical installations. So that's just a national board certification that we have in-house. And when it comes to doing the installation itself, we take care of everything from A to Z. All of my installers have extensive roofing and carpentry background, as well as master electricians that work on all the projects, just so we know that we've got the best of the best installing your solar array. So that's a little bit about us. And now I'll just talk a little bit about how solar energy actually works.
Before we did get it on here.
So just a quick overview, the sun is actually the most abundant renewable resource that we have access to. Enough energy hits the earth from the sun in 1 hour to power the entire world for an entire year. So that's a lot of electricity that could be generated. We just have to find a way to harness it. So with solar, what happens is the photons, or the light energy that's coming from the sun and entering our atmosphere, is actually hitting the panels. I mentioned the panels have silica in them, and that's what the individual cells are made of. When those photons or light energy actually hits the silica, it excites it. It starts shooting off electrons, and basic chemistry, electrons are what create positive and negative charges. By being able to harness that, we can actually create what's called direct current, or DC electricity. Now, the issue with DC electricity is that it's not live. That's not the electricity that you use in your home for your lights or your TV or anything like that. We have to convert that energy from DC, which is direct current, into AC, which is alternating current. And that's what everything in your house runs off of AC. So we actually have a central inverter or little micro inverters that make that conversion for us. So essentially the sun hits the panel, creates electricity, it gets turned into live electricity, and that electricity is then brought into your home to use for whatever you need. Now, over the years, we've kind of transitioned from giant solar arrays in fields and solar farms into residential solar, which is what we specialize in. And that's just homeowners being able to purchase and install their own solar array and kind of have their own power plant up on their roof, in a sense, because everything's connected directly into the electricity or into the electric panel in your home. And that allows you to take advantage of really sunny days where you won't have to use any electricity from the grid. So what we specialize in is grid-tied residential rooftop solar arrays. Unfortunately, there's no moving parts or anything like that. So, it's usually maintenance free. There's no, most warranties are up to 25 years. And what's nice about having solar on your roof is that most states require each individual utility company to abide by a law that's called net metering. So net metering is just a process where the utility company is legally required to let you interconnect your solar array into their grid. So for Cincinnati, we mostly use Duke, or it used to be, I guess, CG&E, Cincinnati Gas and Electric, is now Duke Energy. So when you go net metering with a solar array with Duke Energy, you can actually sell excess electricity that your system produces back to the utility company, and they're going to buy that from you at a dollar for dollar rate. So it's kind of like rollover minutes with a cell phone. If you produce more than you need in 1 month, they're going to give you a credit, which is a dollar amount on your bill. And then you can use that credit on a future month where you might not use as much or might not produce as much electricity, or your usage might be a little bit higher. And that's one of the benefits of going solar in Ohio as well, is that our net metering laws are very supportive. So this is just kind of an example, our example of how exactly net metering works. So we already mentioned, the sun, the sun is going to hit your panels, and that's going to generate that DC electricity. We convert that into AC, or alternating current, before it's brought into your home. Once it's converted into AC, you use up all of the electricity that your current demand is. And then if you produce more than you need, as I mentioned, you're actually selling that electricity back to the grid, and Duke is taking those kilowatt hours and giving them to your neighbor, or sending them down the line or down the street. And on your bill, they're actually going to reflect what they owe you for overproduction. There are going to be some months where you might not produce as much as you need, and in that case, you can actually buy whatever excess you need from the utility company. So that's why it's considered grid tied. Now, there's several things that kind of go into determining, several factors that we have to take into account when we are designing a system. The two most important ones are how much electricity are you using, and what viable roof space do we have up there. So the reason we look at your electric bill, it gives us a historic breakdown of how much you've been using throughout the year. And that tells my engineers, okay, we need to offset on average 700 kilowatt hours or 2,000 kilowatt hours. That's definitely going to determine how many panels you're going to need. Another really important aspect is to look at the viable roof space. Since we are in the Northern Hemisphere, we want our panels to face south. So we'll never put panels on the north side of your roof. It doesn't make sense. So we have a specialized software that will actually break down the shading on your roof through coloring. So the darker the colors just means less sunlight. As you can see, the brighter oranges are going to be the sunnier parts of the roof. So we want to make sure that we're maximizing the return on investment, as well as getting you the most production and independence from your utility company. And what's really cool about being able to have solar is also you can track your monitoring, or track your production. So there are specific apps that allow you to track your day by day, your monthly production. And I actually was going to pull up my mom's system real quick so you guys can kind of get a glimpse at what that looks like. So here's a picture of her array. I think we've got 16 panels up on her roof, and we can actually look and see how much she's been able to produce every day of this month. Obviously, some months are better than others, or some days are better than others, but we're in the spring here, so we've been getting some really sunny days lately. But then you look at, what happens when it's cloudy or raining all day, you're not going to produce as much. One thing I really like about this aspect is it gives us an environmental impact report based on real life data. So she got her system installed about 2 years ago. And in those 2 years, she's planted, quote unquote, the equivalent of over 400 trees, which is over 16,000 pounds of CO2 emissions that has been, prevented from being released into the atmosphere because she generated her electricity from a renewable, sustainable means. So that's going to kind of transition me over into kind of what's going on today. I know we really want to talk about kind of the ethics and what's going on with the world today, as well as the climate crisis that was essentially inevitable. So just a quick stat for you guys: the amount of solar that's been installed worldwide is the equivalent to planting 1.5 billion trees. So that's just how much carbon emission has been reduced just by installing just solar, not even including the other renewable energy platforms that have been really pushed lately. So there are some consequences as far as if we don't act fast. You know, we are in a very crucial time in our Earth's history, and if we don't do something soon, it's going to be we're going to start looking more and more like this and less like this. So some of the things that's been going on as a result of the increase in temperature worldwide is, you know, the ice caps are melting. Sea level rise is going up. That's causing the earth and the water in the sea to warm up, and that can cause not only increase in temperature above the ocean, it also increases humidity and low-level atmospheric temperatures, which just makes everything hotter, and it's kind of a positive feedback loop in a sense. So we're seeing, you know, glaciers are melting, parts of Greenland are breaking off, you know, the Antarctica is melting away. We're running into these issues, and this is what's causing all of these very dramatic and erratic weather events lately, such as the droughts, the floods, hurricanes, and so on. And this can all pretty much be tied back to an increase in sea level, as well as overall temperature and CO2 released into the atmosphere. And as I mentioned, it is a positive feedback loop. And all that means is that it keeps ramping itself up. It's just continuous cycle in the sense that, you know, increase in global temperatures is going to melt the sea ice. That's going to cause the sea level to go up. Stored methane and CO2, which are two of the biggest contributors to the increase in the temperature globally, is actually stored in the permafrost of that ice that's been there for, you know, thousands or millions of years. That stored carbon is now being melted away and released into the atmosphere. And that's just causing more and more heating to occur, and it just keeps going in a vicious cycle. And, you know, since the Industrial Revolution, the entire atmospheric pressure has gone up 1 degree Celsius. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind that, you know, our Earth, before we even got here, had gone through millions of years of evolution to create these, you know, very specific biomes and very specific just ecosystems. And one little, you know, outlier or one little change, whether it be, you know, increase in pH or changes in pH or changes in temperature, changes in humidity, can completely throw these ecosystems off. And we've actually been experiencing that in real time recently. So, you know, the two main contributors, as I mentioned already, carbon dioxide and methane, that's what's being released into the atmosphere. That's what's being, you know, stored in the ocean and increasing the overall temperatures worldwide. And it's us. It's the human influence. You know, we're burning more fossil fuels than ever, and we're dedicating large amounts of agriculture and land to, you know, whether it be farming or livestock or anything similar to that. And it's really just been since the Industrial Revolution. So as we can say, you can kind of pinpoint what the issue was and when it started, because that's when we started really burning coal and oil and you know, industrializing, and that's when it all started. So and it's not only is it having a bad impact on, you know, the sea level, and it's also having a really serious impact on wildlife. So there's an extinction crisis that's happening as well. As I mentioned, these ecosystems are very fragile, and changes in, you know, very minute things that we wouldn't think would be very serious are actually having monumental effects worldwide. You think of, you know, the coral reefs, you think of, you know, changes in the pH of the ocean is really affecting, you know, fishing. The fishing industry has been kind of on the brink of almost collapsing. We've had issues around, you know, Hawaii as well as Australia. The coral reefs are essentially disappearing because of how acidic some of the seawater is, and it's becoming an issue. So there's a couple stats on here that pretty much says we could lose 50% of all of our species if nothing happens in the next 30 years. And I know that, you know, it's not just our Earth. We are sharing it with quite a diverse group of animals and plants and, you know, bacteria and just all living things. And we are the sole, I guess, cause of all of these issues. And we've had some, you know, impact on not only locally, but worldwide. It's impacting humans. It's impacting the vegetation. It's impacting animals. And as you can see on here, I mentioned Hawaii and Australia. They're losing all of their coral reefs. Droughts are causing billions of dollars in the economy worldwide. Floods, all this other kind of erratic weather. Not only is it detrimental to the people locally, but this is happening worldwide, and it's affecting economies. It's affecting people's sense of stability, because if they keep getting moved away, I don't know if anyone's seen what's been going on in Miami, but they've actually had to install these like 6-foot thick pumps in the streets to actually pump water out of their downtown streets back into the ocean because of how invasive some of the water has been during certain times of high tide there. And it's impacting our health. Not only is it going to impact what's going on, our Earth, but it's impacting the humans as well. Because as climate change continues, we're going to run into extreme heat waves. People are going to be having more and more heat strokes because it's hotter and it's more humid. It's harder to breathe. Extreme weather can be definitely, dangerous to our health if we're, on a coastal town and there's a tsunami, or what happened down in Houston a year ago with the tornadoes that came way too far inland than it ever normally would. It's affecting the air quality as well. I mean, if you live within 5 miles of a coal power plant, your likelihood of getting emphysema or asthma is like 400% higher, just because of the air quality based on where you live. Increase in temperatures can also lead to an increase and kind of ticks and mosquitoes. I know they're typically warm weather bugs, but as temperatures continue to go up, rather than just being in the south, we start seeing ticks and mosquitoes as far north as Canada in times when it's the temperature shouldn't support that, but it does. That can contaminate the water as well. I watched a documentary about about Florida, what's going on down in Florida, and essentially the sea level, it's rising, on the level, but it's also kind of infiltrating underneath the earth as well. So a lot of Florida's fresh water is being compromised because this salt water is just penetrating in through underneath the ground to the point where we're having some issues with clean drinking water. And that can also lead to contamination of food. If we're running into droughts or we're running into flooding, it can definitely affect what's going on in the agricultural market. And mental health. That's the biggest thing is, if you're living in a coastal town or you living on an island town, you don't know what's going to happen. A lot of those are the kind of going to be the people that experience this first. So around the coast, places like Hawaii or the Caribbean islands, they are going to feel the impact of this first. And it's already started to happen. And that can lead to serious issues with having people relocating and overcrowding of areas, because at some point we're going to lose, you think 3 feet of sea level rise isn't going to be that much, but it's actually going to take most of the coast away. But there is a solution, as there usually is. And, these are some of the things that we can do to help prevent or at least slow down the impact of what's been going on. So obviously I'm focused more on solar, but it takes a lot of different hands and a lot of help to reverse or at least limit the onset of what's been going on. So obviously we have renewable energy. I have wind up here, geothermal, we have hydroelectric, obviously solar, but it's not just renewable energy. It's also just finding ways to limit our reliance on fossil fuels and coal. The electric car market has been taking off, which is fantastic. And that's going to increase our demand. So as we move away from oil and start driving on electricity, we're going to increase demand in electric, the grid. So if we're able to offset what we need with renewable energy, there's going to be no need for the coal and oil industry anymore. And we can actually start to reverse some of the damage that we've made. And obviously, recycling is very important. I'm sure we all recycle. We understand why that's good for the environment. And we have an election coming up, and unfortunately, renewable energy has become a political issue. I don't believe it should be, but it has, and that's just kind of the world that we live in. And making sure that if this is something that's serious to you, making sure that you're finding a candidate that actually takes it seriously as well is going to be very important for our future as a country, as well as the earth as a whole. All right, what else do I got? I think I'm frozen. There we go. So obviously I'm here to talk a little bit about solar. I mentioned that more energy hits the earth in 1 hour than all of humanity uses an entire year. It is also the most abundant and most accessible resource, I would say. Not everyone has a giant backyard that they can put a windmill in. Not everyone has a river running through their yard, but most people live in houses with roofs. And 80% of US roofs are actually viable for solar. In Ohio, that's at 85%. So that just means that if you have a roof and it's not completely shaded by trees, it can probably fit some solar up there that'll help offset some of your electric needs. So as a state, we're only at 3% renewable, which, unfortunately, that's middle of the pack. So half of the states are actually less than that. And then you have states like California, Arizona, Florida, New York, New Jersey that are definitely leading the charge on this. But we do have the potential to reverse some of the issues and harmful impacts that we've already put into place, but we need to start now. I mean, we need to start yesterday, but now's the time. And when there's a huge solar energy spill, we just call it a nice day. So that's kind of a cheesy joke that we like to throw in there, but it's true. There's really no such thing as a solar energy spill compared to what's been going on and with BP a couple of years ago and all the coal ash cleanup, and it makes sense. And the reason it started to make sense and it's becoming more prevalent today is because we've reached what's called grid parity. Grid parity, all that means is that with the rising cost of electricity and the decreasing cost of solar energy, they finally intersected to where they either cost the same, or in some circumstances, solar actually winds up being more affordable in the long run. So I'll briefly touch on, kind of the economics of solar. Obviously, solar is great for the environment. It's great for your home value. It's great for everyone, but people wouldn't be moving forward with solar energy if it didn't make sense financially. And that's kind of what I'm going to touch on a little bit is, electricity rates are continuously going up. This is inevitable. This has been going on since 1960, and it's going to continue to go on for as long as we use electricity. Fortunately, over this time, I'd say pretty much since the 70s, the cost of solar has been decreasing because it's become more efficient. It's become, production costs are lower, and there's been more political, support and statewide support as well, which is driving costs down. This just kind of looks at what's been going on behind the scenes. As you can see, electric rates continue to climb. These are actually the raw material prices for both coal and natural gas. That's where we get most of our electricity. Coal dropped by about 50%. Natural gas has dropped by about 70%. So even though the raw materials are going down, electric rates are continuing to go up. And that's because we have utility companies that have monopolies over the areas that can pretty much decide what they want to charge us. Now, there is a tax credit that's in effect right now as well. So we talk about political influence and making, renewable energy a political thing. I disagree with that, but I do agree with, back when Obama put the incentive tax credit in effect 10 years ago, that all that means is that when you go solar or any renewable energy project, if you get geothermal done, if you do put a windmill in your backyard, the federal government is actually going to pay for a chunk of that and give that money back to you on your taxes. So this year it's at 26%. All that means is that, no matter what the cost of your renewable energy project is, when you file your taxes in the spring, you're going to get 26% of that back as a tax credit to you. So that is going away. So it was 30% for the longest time. We're kind of in our phase out period now. But you can still take advantage of these, and we're hoping that they get renewed But as of right now, this is just kind of how it is for the time being. And locally, we say, people are going solar, and utility companies are going solar. Huge corporations are also going solar. So we put this on here to let you know that, usually the people who are making these decisions for these large scale companies, you even see a couple banks on here, it's a financial decision. They're not doing it to go green. They're not doing it for the environment. They're doing it because it saves their bottom line. And in the long run, you could save millions of dollars by putting a solar array on top of every IKEA or every Walmart. And it's fortunate that they're doing it, because it is saving a lot of CO2 and coal and natural gas is being used, but at the same time, they're doing it for financial reasons. So what does grid parity look like here? I assume most of you are Duke customers, if you're living here in the tri-state. So DP&L as well, that's State and Power and Light. We work with them often. Average kilowatt hour is about 12.5 cents. And an average home uses about 1,500 kilowatt hours per month. So that just means that your electric bill on average is about $190. Now, when you finance a system to offset that same amount of usage, your monthly payment is $185 a month. Now, $188 a month, that's constantly going up. So next year it'll be, $195. Next year it'll be over $200. You're pretty much locking in a price at $185. And this is just an example of kind of how it works. Average payback is usually 7 to 10 years. Annual rate of return, you're getting about 10 to 14%. So that's, given what's been going on in the market, if you can get a guaranteed 10 to 15% rate of return, that sounds pretty appealing right about now. And here in Ohio, as a company, Solar is Freedom, we've done over 700 jobs. We're expecting the residential solar to increase by about 500% just over the next 5 years. And, it starts one household at a time. Every time I had the pleasure to sign someone up to go solar, I always said, every one house that goes solar just makes the world a little bit better. So we're taking baby steps one house at a time, but, it's certainly growing, and we've had a very large impact, not only locally, but in the whole tri-state area. So yeah, we come out, we evaluate your property. I mentioned that, we want to make sure that we're everything's specific and custom to you. My engineers usually take it from there until we have the design. And then once we're ready to go, we stage it, we permit it, we install, and you're online. So this is kind of what our design process looks like. So as you can see, I mentioned that there's shading on the roof that tells us which areas get sun, which areas don't. These panels are only on the orange part of the roof because that's the sunniest parts. And then we can actually take your electric bill and tell you exactly how much electricity our system is going to produce compared to your usage. So the orange is solar production. The green is usage from the bill. So as you can see, this system is going to be producing enough electricity to offset 98% of their annual usage. So this is just a real life example from one of our customers that went solar about 2 years ago as well. And then I just have a couple pictures of some of our recent installations, just so you can see that they can go on pretty much any type of roof or in your backyard. We've gotten pretty, after you do something 700 times, you get pretty good at making it look nice. And that's all I had for you. So if there are any questions or anyone wants to kind of open up the floor, Doug, I'll let you kind of take it from there.
Thank you, Greg. What we'd like to do, if you have a question, if you would use the chat box and make it known to Michael, and he'll then unmute you and you can ask your question of Greg. Please keep your questions or comments as brief as possible. Greg, if you could stop sharing your screen.
Yep, absolutely. There we go.
Thank you.
Early generations. So we had a question from Alan. It looks like he's asking about the panels themselves. So the solar panels have dramatically changed just in the past 10 years, let alone, what they were using back in the day. So as far as toxic to manufacture. I don't think the manufacturing process is considered, there's really no harmful, I guess, runoff or issues with the silica or anything as far as that goes. But I do know that there has been some concerns about the mining of silica. We've had some people say, are you guys really helping the environment because you're mining to get silica and you're mining for all the metal? And we say, okay, that's true. But at the same time, once it's mined and kind of removed from the earth, it's good for 40 years. So, but other than that, I'm not sure about the actual manufacturing process as far as, how detrimental it is in comparison to, using a coal plant or burning natural gas. So that's something I could look into. Documentaries recommend. There's actually a couple. I can type all of those out there on here. There's 3 that I really enjoy. One is actually 2 of them are on Disney Plus. If anyone has Disney Plus, you can see that. It's here. Let me see from Paris to Pittsburgh. Okay, so Catching the Sun, that's the first one that I put in there. Catching the Sun, it's a great documentary about just the industry. It kind of and the politics behind it, the policy. So that one's extremely informative. Before the Flood is a really good one to watch if you're just interested in just environmental issues as a whole. That's the one that actually Leonardo DiCaprio, he produced it and starred in it. So it's very captivating. He does a fantastic job of keeping you in it, but it's also extremely informative. And it really focuses around the Paris Agreement that took place a couple of years ago, where all the countries worldwide agreed, hey, this is what we're going to do to reduce our carbon footprint. And it really focuses in on that. And then what's interesting is if you watch that one first and then watch From Paris to Pittsburgh, which is also on Disney Plus, it kind of transitioned to, okay, here's the Paris Agreement, and this is what we're going to do to essentially implement the Paris Agreement. So Paris to Pittsburgh is much more politically kind of driven, just because there are some clips from recent government officials that are not very supportive of the industry. But at the same time, I let you guys interpret it however you will. Let's see, do you have any success stories in convincing condo associations? Condos, not so much. Homeowners associations, I deal with on a weekly basis. I mean, if the difficult thing about condos or townhouses is that if you share a roof with your neighbor, it's kind of difficult to determine, it's tricky. We've had some pushback. Apartment complexes have looked into it as well. We just had some issues. So we try to primarily focus on, residential homes or small businesses or small commercial. But, if you have an HOA in your condo that's interested in going solar, I'd be more than happy to look into it. It would just be a kind of a case-by-case basis. Let's see. How can we get utilities to be more accepting private home solar panels? What's funny is utility companies, it's called interconnection or net metering. Pretty much every state has some sort of net metering law that is required. Now, here in Ohio, I'm guessing here in Cincinnati that the majority of our utility company, or the utility company that you guys are using, is Duke Energy. So Duke is very supportive of solar, believe it or not. They actually have their own solar fields all over North and South Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, and parts of Ohio. Now, the reason Duke is supportive of solar energy is because it's less stress on their infrastructure, which is one of their biggest overhead costs. If we're not using their lines to bring electricity to our house, that's going to save them money and maintenance costs in the long run. They're also buying back that electricity from the homeowner if you're overproducing. And the benefit of that is they say, okay, we can buy it from you guys rather than having to buy it from, a coal plant or NRG or Dynergy or any of the other large scale utility companies that are selling dirty electricity. Plus, if 1 out of every 200 people have solar, Duke is still able to make plenty of money on those other 199 people. So it's not even really a blip on their radar as far as the financials go.
Greg, thank you very much. Very informative, very enlightening. I think we all know of the climate change crisis, and the information you're providing is a solution we can all consider for ourselves in terms of how to help address climate change. And,
I mean, it all comes, everyone says, you know, it's such a big issue that, you know, no one person can really have an impact, but if you have millions of people that think that they can make a small impact, it can really lead to something a lot bigger. And, you know, given kind of where we're at right now with you know, half of the world transitioning and understanding the issue and the other half just not recognizing it or believing that it's not there. I feel like everyone just needs to get on board, and it's not, you know, it's not political, but it is, you know, it is a social issue. But at the same time, most of the people that go solar with us, they just want to save money. But at the same time, it's a win-win, because not only are they saving, you know, green money, they're also saving, you know, trees and the environment as well. So it's both kinds of green.
yeah. Well, thank you for your work. Thank you for being here this morning. As I said, very enlightening, very inspiring.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Let us now move into a time of sharing our wealth. And while Michael plays up has a song for us, Soak Up the Sun by Sheryl Crow. Again, very appropriate for this morning. I encourage you, as many of you have continued to do, is to send in donations to the church. We are working on getting an online donation platform, but if you could take this time as you listen to Michael's song to pull out a checkbook, write it, put it in an envelope, stamp it, and then resolve to put it in the mail tomorrow, that is much appreciated. It keeps the Gathering in Northern Hills, an institution, organization, church that's been in existence for 50 years. It makes sure that we will continue to survive for the next 50 years. And I do thank you all for your generosity. Let's now go into a time of sharing our wealth while we listen to Michael play the song, Soak Up the Sun.
Holds meetings in his office. fancy ride. I'm the one who has the key. Every time I turn around, I'm looking up, you're looking down. Maybe something's wrong with you that makes you act the way you do. Maybe I'm just ready to fly. Gonna soak up the sun. Gonna tell everyone to light it up. Gonna tell her that I can know what to play. Every time I feel late, I'm looking up. Gonna soak up the sun. I'm gonna soak up the sun. Gonna tell everyone to light it up. Gonna tell them that I know what to play. Every time I feel late, I'm looking up. Gonna soak up the sun. Soak up the sun. Soak up the sun.
Thank you, Michael. Let's now move into a time of sharing our joys and sorrows. As we say every Sunday, this is a spiritual time. It's our version of offering up prayers, not necessarily to a great deity or a supernatural deity, but prayers to one another, to hold the joys and perhaps the sorrows in our own hearts and minds, those that are now shared. If you have a joy or sorrow you'd like to share with everyone, please do so through your chat option at the bottom of your screens.
Anne, do you want to share your joy?
Yeah, I'm doing it now. Uh,
And do you have something to share? There it is. Anne asked that she would like to share a joy. She'd like to take advantage of doing something for the gathering in Northern Hills, spend a few hours gardening, weeding, or making our facility more beautiful. She's asking this of anyone who would like to volunteer their time. And as she says, any time that you would like to volunteer and any amount of time that you can volunteer would be greatly appreciated. And that is a joy. And we do thank Anne and Sally Ann Killian and Ralph Whaley and Katie Whaley and Keith Israel and others who have helped keep our grounds looking as nice as possible. Thank you, Anne. Oh, she also reports that the Boy Scouts are again going to provide mulch for our grounds this year. This is a return for their use of our facility a couple of months ago for an annual winter retreat they have. Cheryl Leksan says it offers thank you to everyone who has supported her mask making efforts. I don't know how many masks she's made to date, but I think it's well over 700, maybe about 1,000. But Cheryl is providing a wonderful service to the community, and all of you are welcome to avail yourselves of those. Any other joys or sorrows? Mel of Rant reports that this week Burlington House, where his wife Carol is staying, that they're testing everyone for the COVID-19 virus. And he received good news this morning that Carol was tested negative. That is a joy. Mel, thank you for sharing that.
Awesome.
Michael offers a thought for the many, many, many healthcare professionals who are working to keep us all safe by treating those who are affected by the virus. And I know Michael's mother is, my son-in-law through the Army Reserves is doing so out in California. My 2 daughters in Denver, Colorado are working that way. And I know many others have relatives who are working in the healthcare industry, and we do lift them up and their safety. Anyone else? Thank you for sharing joys and sorrows. If you do have a joy or sorrow that was not mentioned this morning, please send me an email or a text if you have it, and I would like to include anything in our list of joys and sorrows that we report on our announcement sheet weekly. Let's now conclude our service by singing together the hymn, Turn the World Around. Michael will sing and perform this, and the words will be on your screen.
Sorry, I'm late. Got it.
Turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Ah, so is life. Ah, so is life. Ah, so is life. Ah, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do you know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Ah, so is life. The river wash the mountain, fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain, spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit, only can the spirit turn the world around. Ah, so is life, so is life. Ah, so is life, so is life. Ah, so is life. So is life. Ah, so is life. So is life.
Once again, great music, Michael, this Sunday. Thank you very much. This concludes our service. And I have no other closing words for you other than I wish your week of much peace and joy. Even during these challenging times, we are enriched by the love and care we show to one another. Go in peace. And as I said, I wish you all a good week. Thank you for joining us this morning. I think Sue Klein, who still is in the background, exerting some control here. She, I think, will break us up into small groups for just chatting and social hour. If you'd like to grab a cup of coffee now, if you'd like to remain and chat with some others in the service, please do so, and we'll be divided into various small groups. Thank you all once again.
Hi, everybody. That was a a great choice of music, this last one, Michael. It's very uplifting, so thank you a lot. I am going to split this into random groups. We have 19 people left. Everybody else has run away. Anyway, we now have 18 people. I'm going to split this into about 3 groups. Hang around, talk with one another, enjoy your coffee, and have a great week.
Breakout room 3. You are now in a breakout room. Hey, how's it going? Hi there.
Michael, Greg,
Hey.
we got the end of the line here. If you would like to join a different group with a few more people, I can make that happen. It's kind of magic.
It's all right. I mean, well, yeah, why don't we combine 2,
Okay.
2 and 3, not that many people, we can almost just go back into one big group. A lot of people left.
A lot of people have gone.
There's 6 in one. This one's got 5 now. Breakout room 2's only got 3 though.
Shall we go back to the big group? Let everybody talk.
Let leave this one. I'll go join breakout room 2.
Are you doing that now?
Yeah.
We're fighting.
You know, somebody can talk to. Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things. We've got friends in Europe who've done the geothermal, and they're able with their geothermal to sell back to the grid. But geothermal, if you've got an existing heating system, is not. It's very expensive.
It's prohibitive. Yeah. Solar is so easy. They put my panels up in one day.
Yeah. Well, we've got a south-facing roof, so that should be really good.
Yeah. Well,
our kids will think we're crazy for spending more money on the house, but
you're not. It's a wash every
computer has a microphone in it.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Is this all that's left?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Huh.
Breakout room 2's fine. They got people.
Okay.
Greg, thanks so much for talking. I really enjoyed your presentation.
It was good.
Oh, well, hey, I'm happy to share the information. Most of what we do is just educating people about the benefits, and then let them hopefully make the right decision.
Right.
But yeah, I was really impressed watching you do the piano thing. It was reminding me of like Guitar Hero, where you gotta like pick the notes. I was like, that's expert level right there.
It was fun to like figure out how to make that happen with the video.
That was really cool.
Thanks. Yeah. So I hope to do more like that now that I've kind of figured out how to do it. It was fun. Yeah, and I've been thinking about doing solar for so long now. My obstacle is that I really need to replace my roof before I put on solar panels.
We also do roofing. That's one thing that I only mention when we need to. But if you do need a new roof, we could probably do.
How convenient.
Yeah, because we started. I mean, it makes sense. You want to have a solar company that understands roofs, and vice versa. But yeah, we do everything in house. So, if you're interested, you can actually get the tax credit on your roof as well. So you can get a 26% off your roof if you do it in the same year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's a big coupon.
Yeah, that is a big coupon. Roofs are expensive. Well, I was just gonna do my roof myself, but I really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like I've done roofs before and it's not fun.
It's not fun.
And you usually have to do it in the summer because like you need a few days of no rain, you know?
Right, to let the seal kind of dry.
But then you're out on an asphalt roof in 95-degree weather and you want to
Which
die.
up there it feels like 120, honestly. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just that's good to know that you can get a tax credit because that would help a lot.
No, absolutely.
And it definitely wouldn't be worth it to do it myself because I wouldn't save that much money and I would save myself a lot of hardship.
I was gonna say, yeah, we could probably knock it out for you in a day. So
yeah.
I mean, I've reshingled roofs too, and it's not fun.
It's killer work. Yeah, it really is. Oh, yeah, but that was awesome. I mean, solar power is one of those things that it's becoming such a no-brainer.
It's becoming very mainstream, I think. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, just like any new technology, you know, there's a lot of skepticism at first, but I mean, solar's been around. Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the White House during the oil embargo back in the 70s. So
really, wow.
I mean, that was more of a publicity stunt than anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean, go ahead.
You're absolutely right about what you said about how it has to be the more economically viable thing because that's the only thing that's going to motivate big companies to get on.
I mean, that's the thing is, you know, IKEA and Walmart and Apple and Google and Amazon and all these major companies are investing billions of dollars into it.
Right.
But none of them are like changing their logo to have like an apple with a green leaf on it or anything like that.
Yeah.
They're not doing it for, you know, so you guys think that they're a good company. They're doing it because they're saving millions of dollars a year.
Right. Which, I mean, that's good though, because that's the only way it'll get done. And I think it is going to become the thing. And now oil is worse than ever now. So.
I saw that it's like a barrel's like negative $35 on the market or something like that. I just filled up my car for like $9 the other day, and I was like, "Geez,
I know. Yeah.
Could get used to this."
Yeah. Like my gas prices, I think like over by me, like it was like $1.30. I think.
Yeah, it's
absolutely crazy like that. I haven't seen it like that since pre 9/11.
I was gonna say that's what it was like in the late 90s.
Yeah.
I think 90 actually looked. You know how you can see like how much was gas or a gallon of milk when you were born. In 92, it was like $1.11.
Jeez.
28 years ago, and now it's $1.35.
Yeah.
Roughly.
I think I saw it for like about $1.30 the other day. Yeah, it's crazy, absolutely nuts. Good. I'll be glad to see those gas companies go.
Yeah, you and I both. Well, that and you know, I don't know how much you've been paying attention, but the electric vehicle industry has been like taken off.
Yeah.
It's where I think right now it's less than 5% of all cars on the road right now are EVs, but in the next 10 years it's going to be over like 60%. So
next car I buy is going to be electric for sure. There's no way. I'm making my car last until I can afford like, you know, a Leaf or something.
Leaf or a Bolt or a Volt or I drive a hybrid now. It's not a plug-in though, so I want to look into a plug-in hybrid too. But they're getting more expensive. So
Yep. I mean, and then the thing about like the other thing that I really see happening with cars is I really see that computer-driven software, you know, where it's the computer drives the car for you. I feel like that.
Yeah, the self-driving stuff. That's still gonna. I feel like that's gonna scare the public.
Oh,
it already has. Like they had. I
Yeah.
think it was. I don't know if it was Tesla or Amazon or one of them. They had a self-driving semi go from like Maine all the way to like Southern California and drive it. And like when people found out about that, they're like freaking out. They're like, I'm not going on the roads. There's robots driving through. And it's just like, really?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, that should be interesting.
If you think about it, a computer's way safer driving a car than a human.
Especially if they can communicate with the other cars on the road, so you know where they're at.
Yeah.
And then it's just I don't think people are gonna trust that.
No, they're definitely not.
Yeah.
Well, there was already that incident. I remember like a while back, there was like, did you hear about that incident where like a self-driving car hit a person? It was like a Uber car. Like Uber's not technology. They really weren't. I mean, Uber's a crappy company, and they basically tried to get these cars out on the road before they were ready. And then a guy walked across the street wearing all black in the middle of the night on a busy street. And the guy in the self-driving car also wasn't paying attention. He was like texting. And so the car just like nailed him. And
jeez.
And then of course everyone used that one isolation as proof, like, oh, these aren't safe.
Yeah. Yep.
But I really think that that's going to be the way. And I feel like eventually it's actually going to be illegal. Like you'll have to have some kind of special qualification to actually like operate a vehicle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's driver's license are going to be obsolete.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Anyone will just be able, oh, you just got to use your phone app and just.
I was going to say, yeah, you can just be sitting there playing games on your phone in the driver's seat, and it'll definitely, it just reminds me of iRobot.
Yeah.
They had like the self-driving cars that you like, if you decide to drive it yourself, you get like alert to the cops. They're like, someone's driving.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's so
cool.
True. Yeah. I feel like we should probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Join another one. Well, it's noon, so I might.
You gonna head out?
Maybe. I might just get some lunch. I'm hungry. I just wanted to.
I'm gonna find Sue and tell her to just bring, because we don't have that many people. I think she's just gonna bring the whole group together.
Yeah.
Go find her.
Yes. For those in the book club, I finally finished Rebecca.
Me too. Thank heavens that Linda sent it along. So.
Okay. Did
I feel like I read that 100 years ago.
Not quite 100. It was only published in 1938.
Well, I think I read it in like 59 or something.
Okay. All right.
Well, if you've read it, you can join us.
Yeah. That would mean I remember it. So.
We would remind you if we remember.
Yeah, I think online book clubs are definitely flourishing. You know, one of our friends, she's out in California, but her book club was meeting, and somebody joined Zoom. This is, before they put all the extra security and passwords and stuff. Somebody Zoom bombed in. It was just some nice woman that, typed in the wrong number. And when she realized she was in the wrong meeting and they told her what they were doing, she said, "Oh, I've read that book. Can I stay and talk about it with you guys?" and they had such a good time. They invited her to join the book club, and now she's part of the book club.
Oh, that's fun.
Wow.
There are some happy things that happen.
Yeah, exactly. The funny way the world is going to look meeting people. We were talking to friends who just moved, and like they don't know any of their neighbors, because how are you going to meet your neighbors? So
right. I'd like to recommend, in the name of Earth Month, would like to recommend a book called Braiding Sweetgrass.
Oh, I have that.
Some of you may have read. It is written by a woman of indigenous background who is a PhD and professor in ecology. And it is beautifully written. And I listened to it, and the author reads it, which is beautiful. It has to do with what we as a species have forgotten about how to interact with the earth. And it is so beautifully written and so sensitive that I would just like to recommend it as a good meditation almost for this month.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
Sounding like food might be a problem somewhere down the line. Maybe we should have community gardens in our backyard.
or in our front yards.
Or in the front yard.
Something would happen, but
How are the kids doing? Staying home.
I'd say generally they're doing pretty well. I think they, I don't think they like the online learning, the schools stuff really, and
yeah, it's really impersonal. Like there's seems like there's very little way for the teachers to help kids directly.
Yeah,
you have to request that they do a Zoom with you if you need help. Like that in our district, I think they could be doing actual classes on Zoom, but they don't. Instead, they set it up so that each subject has its own day where they can do it, but in general, it's just an opportunity for the kids to kind of call in and ask questions.
Yeah.
Of course,
my daughter said her stepson, that she lives in Fort Thomas, she said he gets up at 8 o'clock in the morning. He's a freshman in high school. And she said, I don't understand. He gets up at 8 o'clock, he has breakfast, and she said by 10 o'clock he's finished all his work.
Yeah,
and
that's not unusual. Oh, we're going to get closed out. Yeah. Part of the thing is it takes a lot of work and preparation to create a program that's designed to be online.
Yeah.
And I created an online program for Xavier, and you can't just convert a class overnight into online.
I know Tim's doing it right now for his classes in Austria, but it still in all, the teachers are getting paid, and it doesn't seem like they're, I don't know.
Get this close.
Yeah, no, for sure.
There's Todd and Vanessa. Hello. I think we're back together. We have 11 people.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
That's nice.
There.
Oh, there's Johannes. We haven't seen him.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Don't everybody talk at once.
I'm going to get back to mask making here shortly.
Yeah.
That's right. Good to work. You've taken long enough break, Cheryl.
Yeah.
I have, I'll tell you. I even went yesterday I went over to a friend's house. They invited me over to sit in a hot tub, but it was raining, so I didn't do that. And then had dinner and watched a movie, and I was almost feeling guilty, like I really should go home and start sewing again.
Right.
Sounds like a job.
Well, this is my beautiful mask from Cheryl.
Oh, very good.
Oh, that's nice.
I have puppy dog prints. So
Oh, good. That's a good one.
They're reversible too. What's on the other side of your?
this one is just polka dots.
Oh, just plain. Okay.
Yes.
So
And then
fun on the inside.
What's that?
I got mine.
Fun on one side, conservative on the other.
Right.
How many
How
have
many
you made, Cheryl?
Hmm?
How many have you made? How many masks?
Between 500 and 600.
Wow. Whoa.
I haven't counted them, but it's about that. And I've got a good couple hundred, probably 200 sitting on my dining room table right now that need to be, they're all the layers are together. I just have to sit and sew and flip. So I'm going to sew and flip all day today because I've got hundreds that are requested. I've got pages and pages of names, and it's like I was waiting for elastic, and now a whole bunch of elastic showed up. So now I can, I've got quite a system, quite a little production line going. So
Cheryl, did you end up getting the elastic from one of those stores, or was somebody able to donate and send it to you? Or I know that
people have donated them or dropped. Some people who thought they were going to make a lot of masks are not making them nearly as quickly as they thought they could, or it's been more challenging for them, so they've just given me their elastic. Some people have ordered elastic for me and just had it shipped here, which has been really nice. In exchange for, some masks, somebody, that's like, yeah. And I've ordered some from Amazon. I had somebody order some from eBay. I had somebody order some from Etsy for me. just as their contribution. Oh yeah, and then Kimberly ordered some. What, from eBay? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah,
from
did it
eBay.
arrive?
eBay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just it shows up and I get excited. Alas! Especially when I get these 1,000 yard big rolls
Yeah.
of them. It's like, oh, I can make a lot.
Well, the one
of
we
them.
looked at, they had like little tiny rolls, and then this one place had like giant rolls.
Yeah.
Where, oh, that's a giant roll.
The giant ones
All
are
the
nice.
elastic you will ever need.
You would think. You might be surprised.
I know.
Yeah, we don't know how long this is going to last.
Well, and I know that now once businesses start opening up, I mean, people are already going, I'm going to need them by the end of May. And I'm like, a lot of people who are, I've had a couple people who are hairdressers and, fun enough, I have fabric that has scissors on them. So I've made some masks with scissors, but I know that, it's going to blow up here soon because all these people are going to need masks for work.
Well, that may not be true because unless your employer requires it, which apparently even places like Kroger and Walmart and places like that, they aren't requiring their employees
Just
to wear
because
them.
it's not required we've established Americans aren't smart, but just because they're not required doesn't mean that people won't still want to wear them.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think a lot of people will, even if it's,
Yes. So.
And
all right. Well, it's good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you again for including Greg today. It was
thank you for having for
yeah. I thought he did a really great job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we all learned a lot.
Right. Well, and thank you from all of us.
Oh, I'll tell him. Thanks.
All righty.
All right. Have a
See you
good
guys
one.
next week.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I'm going to check out too.
Me
Have a
too.
great week, everyone.
Bye, everybody.